It's Thursday, September 3. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. Decision Day 2020 is up on us. Jamaicans took to the polls today, September 3, to decide the government for the next 5 years. 63 constituencies are up for grabs. Heading into the general elections, the incumbent Jamaica Labour Party has 34 seats. The opposition People's National Party, 29 seats. The polls opened at 7 and will close at 5 this afternoon, after which the preliminary counting of ballots will take place inside the polling station. Electors who are in line at 5 are allowed to vote. There are 139 candidates vying for a seat in the 63 constituencies. 63 candidates representing the Jamaica Labour Party, 63 representing the People's National Party, and 13 independent candidates. There are 108 males and 31 female candidates. The election will be observed by the local observer group Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections Cafe and a small delegation from the European Union. All this under the cloud of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has seen a surge in recent weeks. Director of Elections Glasspool Brown says all is in place.
It's an election that is different from what we've ever had in our history. We are operating in a pandemic environment. Certainly there are some other jurisdictions that had their election in the same environment. The reality is that we have to operate in this environment. What we are sought to do is to put in place a protocol that has been agreed to in consultation with the Ministry of Health. So our protocol requires that everybody that turns up at the polling station on election day must wear their mask. That's a priority. And also you'll be sanitized at the entrance. What we are sought to do, though, is in order to give our electorate some level of comfort, in the sense that we have brought on board in excess of 7,400 persons, additional persons, and we have created a team known as the sanitization team. What that sanitization team will do in the morning is to meet you and greet you at the entrance of the polling station and to ensure that you have on a mask. And then I would like to appeal to our electorate that on the day that you come to our polling station, certainly on September 3rd, that you make sure you carry your mask, wear your mask on, and put your mask on, and you'll be sanitized, and then you'll be ushered into the polling station.
3 more COVID-19 deaths were reported on Wednesday. The deceased are an 82-year-old male from Clarendon, a 75-year-old female from St. Catherine, and a 65-year-old male from Kingston and St. Andrew. All cases had underlying conditions, namely diabetes and hypertension. This brings to 27 the total number of COVID-19 related deaths in Jamaica. 1 other death remains under investigation. We have more in this report.
Jamaica in the last 24 hours recorded 139 new confirmed COVID-19 cases. These bring the total cases on record for the island to 2,822. Recoveries also increased by 2, bringing the total number of persons who have recovered and have been released to 900. The country is now managing 1,822 active cases across the island, including 11 moderately ill patients and 7 critically ill patients. Some 71 cases recorded in Jamaica have returned to their countries of origin. Of the new cases, 44 were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew, as well as St. Catherine. 19 were reported in St. Thomas, 13 in Manchester, 6 in St. Anne, 4 in St. Mary, 4 in Portland, 3 in St. James, 1 in Trelawney and Clarendon, respectively. 7 of the new cases are contacts of confirmed cases, while the remaining 132 cases are under investigation. Jamaica now has 457 imported cases, 657 cases that are contacts of confirmed cases, 242 local transmission cases not epidemiologically linked, 236 related to the workplace cluster in St. Catherine, and 1,230 cases under investigation. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
The Senate and Administrative Annex buildings of the University of the West Indies, Mona, is expected to reopen on Friday, September 4. The buildings were closed following the confirmation of a COVID case of a staff member who works in a specialized area on the campus. The building has since been disinfected and deep cleaned. The coronavirus is not the only issue facing the University of the West Indies Mona campus. There is growing concern about the physical safety of students on the campus. The most recent triggered by a shooting which was captured on camera at the back gate to the Irving Hall of Residence, where many board buses to and from the campus. Persons scampered for cover as brazen gunmen fired repeatedly at their intended target. Chairman of the COVID-19 Resilient Corridors Committee, John Bowles, says citizens must take personal responsibility to protect themselves from the virus by sticking to the protocols put in place by the government. Mr. Bowles was addressing a Jamaica Information Service think tank in Montego Bay, St. James. He said the virus is no respect of any group of persons, which indicates that citizens must not be complacent in adhering to protocols, even in the presence of persons known to them. He argued that while it is important that the country's economy commences recovery from the effects of the pandemic, the need to flatten the virus's curve is paramount. Stakeholders in Jamaica's development minerals industry have expressed gratitude for the provision of grants totaling approximately 9 million Jamaican dollars to 12 small-scale artisans and miners to support their businesses and fund emergency responses to the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. The grants were provided under Phase 2 of the African, Caribbean and Pacific European Union ACP-EU Development Minerals Program. It's being jointly implemented locally by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP Country Office, and the Mines and Geology Division of the Ministry of Transport and Mining. The lead singer of the phenomenal musical group Toots and the Maytals is Frederick Toots Hibbert. He was the first to use the word reggae in a popular song. By doing so, he named a genre that has been embraced globally. The legendary 78-year-old reggae singer is now in a medically induced coma at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Marlon Samuels has more on the life and legacy of Frederick Toots Hibbert.
Frederick Nathaniel Toots Hibbert was born in 1942 in Clarendon. He was the last of 14 children and spent his early years singing in church. After his parents died, he moved to Trenchtown in Kingston to seek fame and fortune. There he formed the Maytals with Ralphus Gordon and Nathaniel Matthias. His Christian upbringing influenced their 1963 6 and 7 books of Moses. Genesis and Exodus, 11 and Numbers, Deuteronomy and Joshua, Judges and Ruth. In 1966, success came knocking after the group won Jamaica's National Popular Song Contest with Bam Bam. Soon you will find out the man I'm supposed to be. That same year, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison for possession of marijuana. He used the experience to create the very popular song 5446, That's My Number. His distinctive voice placed him head and shoulders above other artists. In 1968, he scored another hit with a song about a popular dance style, reggae. The singer-songwriter who plays the guitar and drums has toured extensively across the world. His band won the Grammy Award for the Best Reggae Album in 2005. He has also collaborated with many artists, including Willie Nelson. In 2010, Toots Hibbert was ranked 71 in Rolling Stone magazine's 100 Greatest Singers of All Time. Frederick Toots Hibbert is considered one of the greatest ska and reggae singers. His distinctive, rich, soulful voice, his showmanship, his ability to showcase the pulse of Jamaican life in his music, interspersed with religious belief, makes his music appealing to all generations. News emerged recently that the beloved singer is in critical condition in hospital with breathing problems. From all indications, the entertainer is fighting for his life in what hopefully will not be his swan song performance. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
Oil prices have been falling over the last few months. This is now being reflected in petrol prices. Motorists are getting a well-needed break as the prices go down at the pumps. More from Gabriel Thompson in today's business report.
According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel effective Thursday, September 3. Following a 93-cent reduction, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $119.01 and $121.84 per liter, respectively. Following a decrease of $1.83, automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $115.47 per liter, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is down by $1.27 and will be sold for $118.28 per liter. Meanwhile, kerosene saw a $1.47 reduction in price and will be sold for $92.65 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $49.67 per liter, down by 34 cents, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $52.79 per liter after an increase of 10 cents. Marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. In Wednesday's trading session, the JHTA combined index advanced by 918 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 84 stocks, of which 33 advanced, 38 declined, and 13 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 8 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, Barita Investments Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, and Berger Paints Jamaica. Trading firm were 1834 Investments Limited, Blue Power Group, and Carreras Limited. QWI Investments Limited was the volume leader with 2.5 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 1.4 million units, and Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with under 700,000 units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Wednesday, September 2 ended trading at $147.81. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $113.06. The pound sterling traded for $199.78, and the euro ended trading at $179.77. Oil prices extended losses on Thursday, falling by more than 2% to their lowest point since early August, as worries about weaker U.S. gasoline demand and a sluggish economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic dented sentiment. Brent crude futures fell $1 to $43.43 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down $1.02 to $40.49 a barrel. And that's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
Now, do you want to enjoy a cold, delicious treat that has fewer calories and half the fat of ice cream? Then try a frozen yogurt. This week on Culinary Trails, host Simone Absalom tells us about the frozen treat and the Quick Plates franchise.
Quick Plate allows you to order your food online from restaurants near you and have it delivered right at your doorsteps, your office, or wherever you are.
To place an order, first enter your address on your home page and click on Find Restaurants. You'll then be shown the list of available restaurants in your area, and you can follow the instructions from there.
We continue our conversation this week by having Ms. Paul explain how quick plates got over their challenges during this COVID-19 era.
Having to deal with a sudden uptick wasn't difficult for us. It just meant that we had to basically execute on the plans that we already had in place for what we would do if there were to be a sharp spike or a sharp increase in demand and orders, that sort of thing.
Ms. Powell, how do you make money from such a now essential service?
Well, there is a delivery fee that customers pay, a very reasonable delivery fee. It's $500, and a small order processing fee is attached to the cost as well. And then the restaurant also pays a small fee to get orders through our platform.
In this COVID-19 era, the term business continuity has become significant in the world of business, and the Quick Pay boss explains how she has continued her business during this time of uncertainty.
Responding to crises like this is a lot of it is about being nimble and being flexible. So the first couple of weeks, it threw a bit of a curveball for us because we were restricted in terms of hours. So there was a time when we had to close off deliveries from 3 o'clock because businesses had to close by 4. And what that kind of forced us to do is to see how we could still maximize earnings during that time. And what we started doing essentially before COVID-19, we were a lunch and dinner service. We started at 11 o'clock and went up until 9 p.m. or 8:15 p.m. rather. What we started doing during this crisis was to deliver breakfast. So we started opening earlier in order to allow us to get more hours in. What we found through doing that was that people were actually receptive to that breakfast service. So now that the hours have been opened up again, we've kept that breakfast service going. You know, it's flexibility in terms of managing your team. So we quickly came up with a plan that would allow everybody to work from home, and we actually haven't gone back. We decided that we're gonna continue as a remote team, but we're able to very quickly put whatever is necessary in place to ensure that people could remotely work without us losing productivity, without us losing the quality and standard of service delivery that people associate us with.
How does a company join the Quick Plate family?
We have a website, partnerwithquickplate.com. Once persons go to that site, they get an overview of what our offering is from the merchant/restaurant side. And there is a very short form there that I'll be asked to fill out. Once I submit that form, one of our representatives from our end will get back to them usually within 24 hours to provide them with a little bit more information and work with them to see how we can come up with a solution that best suits them.
Do you have any future plans that we should look forward to?
What we're hoping is that by the end of this year, we would have expanded our geographical footprint across Jamaica and be available in more towns and cities than we currently are.
After you've made your order on Quick Plates, you might be interested in getting some dessert. So here's a recipe on a cool idea for dessert.
Frozen yogurt bites. Blend plain yogurt with 2 types of berries or any yummy fruit you like. And pour the flavored mixture into ice cube trays. Then freeze them for a couple of hours. And
they're ready. Frozen, yummy yogurt fruit bites.
In regional news, parents or guardians of children who are charged for not wearing masks will ultimately have to pay the penalty. This from the country's Attorney General. More from Sunil Lala.
The General has sought to clarify the mask-wearing law as it pertains to children. He maintains that children under 8 years old cannot be charged for not wearing a mask, but if a child over that age is charged, Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi says the parent or guardian will have to append the children's court with the child. He points out that according to law, the parent or guardian normally has to pay the fine.
Sections 56 and 57 of the Children's Act specifically provide that where a child is charged with any offense, which is treatable by a fine or damages or costs, that the parent, guardian, or person with responsibility is the person who the court will look to for the payment of the fine.
AG Al-Rawi notes that the World Health Organization itself has also prescribed the wearing of masks by children, and this has already been implemented in a number of countries. And he adds that this law as it pertains to children is no different from other legislation that has been implemented for that particular age group.
Our laws are extremely clear. They are no different from the Truancy Act, from truancy under the Education Act, where a child is brought before the court. It's no different from any other offense which a child can commit.
Meanwhile, AG Al-Rawi also responded to reports of persons sticking signs on their windscreens indicating that their vehicle is not a PH taxi. It comes after he said it would be difficult for police to identify whether all occupants of a private vehicle are family members due to TNT's thriving PH taxi industry. Commenting on the move by some persons to place signs on their windscreens, Mr. Al-Rawi.
Residents of Guyana have complained about long wait times for COVID-19 test results. We have more in this report.
With the move by the Ministry of Health to increase testing for COVID-19, it has resulted in a growing backlog of tests still to be completed, and many doctors in the public healthcare system are concerned. The ministry has admitted to the backlog and has indicated that it is now seeking the help of the Caribbean Public Health Agency to clear the backlog of hundreds of samples that have been taken but are still to be tested. The situation has become worrying for medical professionals who are concerned about the long wait. News Source has spoken to a number of persons who indicated today that they have been waiting on their test results for about 2 weeks. A Georgetown resident said a swab sample was taken from him since the 18th of August and he is still waiting on the results. He said repeated checks with the health officials have created more frustration for him since he has been in self-isolation since the sample was taken. News Source also understands that doctors at one of the public health facilities in the country were forced to clear a patient themselves as she was isolated at the government facility for 2 weeks without receiving her test results, although she showed no symptoms. Some persons have taken their concerns to social media about the situation. A senior medical official who asked not to be named said while the increase in testing was commendable, any increase in medical testing must be matched by capacity. The official said if it is that the virus could run its course within 2 weeks, then persons ought not be waiting 2 weeks for the results, since by the time they get the results back, they could either be cleared of the virus or in a serious health crisis. Based on the Ministry of Health's dashboard, which was released this evening, there are 477 positive cases of COVID in home isolation, with 71 other persons in a government-run facility. As of midnight last night, there were 9 new cases. The number of positive cases allowed to home isolate is also causing a headache for many doctors, who said one has to simply hope that those allowed to home isolate are doing just that and not spreading the virus by leaving their homes.
The coronavirus pandemic has not put a damper on the Bajan government's $1 billion plan for the Bridgetown port. More from Barbados Today.
In fact, Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy Cook Humphrey is reporting that tremendous progress is still being made. During a tour of the Bridgetown port on Wednesday to familiarize new chairman of the board, Peter Odell, with its operations, Humphrey told reporters that extensive consultations have already taken place regarding the planned Speightstown cruise terminal, and requests for proposals have been issued and were now being evaluated.
We've been to Speightstown, we've spoken to the residents in Speightstown. The RFP for that has already been issued and has been now evaluated. And hopefully we'll be in a position soon to speak in more detail about what we're going to do in Speightstown. But suffice it to say that we made a determination that we wanted to have a terminal in the north, and that is actively being pursued and is happening. The other would be the shallow draft expansion. And for us, it's going to be very important as well that we create more berthing space in Barbados, and that gives us the opportunity to practically double the space that we currently have for berthing and all the associated businesses that can go along with it as well. A number of Barbadian businesses have been calling out for it. Persons in shipping, domestic shipping, have been asking for it. So we're taking care of that sector as well. And I think for us that is going to be a major win. And for Barbadians, it's going to make life very easy for those people who have been doing this business for a long time.
Equally important, Humphrey said, was the creation of a haul-out facility at the Bridgetown port.
A haul-out facility that would allow us to accommodate international business. There are a number of people who own yachts, who own larger ships, larger vessels, who would like to do their business in Barbados. But because we did not have a proper haul-out facility, because we did not have a repair facility, a lot of these businesses, a lot of these vessels would leave Barbados and go elsewhere to have their ships, their vessels repaired. And we're going to put ourselves in a position to be able to do that repair here. And again, all of the associated businesses. The important thing about that is that it allows us to generate a yachting industry. And I think that is going to be tremendous. That's a multi-million-dollar industry for Barbados. It's going to generate tremendous revenue. It's going to generate tremendous jobs. So the thing that we have to look at, I think, is to start retooling Barbadians in a number of ways so that they can be ready when this new sector takes off. So those are just 3 of the projects. Again, each of these projects is a multi-million-dollar project. The port will be leading the way. I think it is important that we use COVID as an opportunity.
Hurricane Dorian stormed across the Bahamas 1 year ago, claiming hundreds of lives and destroying homes and businesses. This week, residents of eastern districts held ceremonies in remembrance of those lives lost.
It was a day of remembrance as family and friends gathered to honor the lives of those tragically lost during Hurricane Dorian exactly 1 year ago. The memorial and wreath laying ceremony taking place at the foot of the Sir Jack Hayward Bridge. Minister of State for Grants Bahama, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, telling those in attendance that while it is fitting that they come together 1 year later to commemorate the lives lost, it is also a day of thanksgiving.
We are thankful for where the Lord has brought us from 1 year ago. We are thankful for the lives that those persons who died lived. We are thankful for the memories that we have. We are thankful for those who have survived. We are thankful for the rebuilding that has taken place. We are thankful for how God has restored this island. So today, as we commemorate, today as we remember with a heart of thanksgiving.
Meantime, President of the Grants Bahama Port Authority, Ian Roll, taking the opportunity to remember all those still displaced and struggling to rebuild their homes and lives following the storm's devastation, while acknowledging the generosity of many local and international organizations who came to the aid of many families and are still assisting today.
It is together as a resilient community, standing shoulder to shoulder in support and brotherhood, that we recover, heal, and carry on as we Bahamians are known to do. May the souls of those lost to Hurricane Dorian forever rest in peace. And may the families mourning the loss of their loved ones feel the love of their Bahamian community, and may they continue to heal.
Also bringing remarks was Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for East Grants Bahama, the Honorable K. Peter Turnquest. He notes that Grants Bahama is no stranger to hurricanes, but even with all of the experience, Hurricane Dorian brought new challenges and new realities to all. He says they thought it fitting to mark the solemn day to let the families and the country know that they have not lost sight of the terrible tragedy.
I wish to offer my prayer and continued support to all of you, to let you know again that me and my family every day, we remember. I personally remember the smiling faces, the kindness, the debate sometimes, but in all of it, I remember your loved ones, as we would have all tried to make this Grand Bahama Island better. On this day, we remember their contributions. We thank God for their lives, and we pray for you who carry on.
Now, after the brief ceremony, the wreath was blessed by Archdeacon Hepburn, then laid out. A prayer was offered for the departed, for grieving families, and for protection.
In sports, it's all about football. Asian Cup champions Qatar will compete in the 2021 Gold Cup. This was announced by the North American governing body CONCACAF, along with format tweaks for the 2021 edition of the football tournament. There will be a preliminary round to decide the final 3 spots in the group stage. A first ever Gold Cup draw on September 28 and quarterfinals matching teams from opposite groups in the 2021 event, which kicks off July 10. World Cup 2022 hosts Qatar will join 12 North American teams that booked their spot in the group stage through the CONCACAF Nations League, including defending champions Mexico, the United States, Canada, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Curacao, El Salvador, Grenada, Honduras, Panama, Martinique, and Suriname. And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow for more news, sports, and weather right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.